everybody, it's the Alex Manassa here to talk about not a controversial subject at all today, actually. But one thing I've got to say before I get started on it is that you might think, for this is going to be an issue that concerns mostly women, especially women who want to go into the workforce, women who want to, have it all, as they say, right? You might ask, Alex, what do you know about that? And I'll say nothing. I don't know anything about it. I'm not an expert on it, but I am someone who can offer you an outside perspective. And who doesn't want an outside perspective once in a while? Just to lean out your window and say, how's my driving, right? So, I see, as an outsider who is observing and seeing everything that's going on, a couple of problems, but I think we've got a lot of solutions. So let's get right into it. So, let's talk first about the problems. Problems. Okay. So hopefully you guys can read that. The problems that you see as a woman who's entering the workforce, that I've been told by the women who are in the workforce, is that balance is one of the biggest problems, right? How do you balance your family as well as the full responsibilities of a full-time employee, right? So, family and career. Okay. So, if you got issues of balancing your family and career, that means you need to make choices, right? It's not going to be obvious how to fix that, but I've got a solution for you that hopefully you guys are okay with. Maybe it'll be useful to you. Next issue I see is I'm gonna use a word, and I don't mean it to be offensive. I'm gonna put it as confidence. This is not that you ladies lack confidence at all, right? This is a mutual thing. When you go into a workplace, and my first workplace that I ever, my first salaried position was at a place that had what was called a boys' club. It was a bunch of bros. They were pretty obnoxious. They ranged in age from about 22 all the way up to like 55, right? All these guys would go whitewater rafting. Ladies would never be invited. It was their boys' club, right? Well, unfortunately, they also happened to run the place, more or less, right? So it got kind of tough. And a lot of the ladies who were there felt excluded from the boys' club. So let's see if we can tackle that problem as well. Last problem I see is expectations. Okay. So what does this mean? This means life expectations, both in and out. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that there are expectations that are imposed on you, and there are expectations that you have of the world, of life, right? So what we're saying here is that throughout all of these different things, there's just a mismatch of what do you expect versus what are you going to get, right? You expect to be able to have your family and your career. You expect to be able to have the confidence and to be confident in the organizations that you're a part of, right? And you're expecting that you're pretty much, and you've got this major imbalance of expectations in versus expectations out. In my opinion, I think you should be able to get all of this stuff, but what we deserve is not what we get. Deserve is actually just a useless word. It's like a magical made-up word, right? It doesn't. Nobody ever gets what they deserve, by the way. No one ever gets what they deserve. They get what they, bargain for. All right, so what are we going to try to bargain for? I'm going to put up a graph. In this graph, we have balance. And in this graph, we have time. Okay? So balance over time. I'm going to put the career in green right now because that's where the money comes from. All right, so this is what's happening for most people right now. the age at which we're going to start this graph at the age where you start your career, right? So college is done with. There's no balance in college. That's a flat line. Balance in college is just a flat line, just study. We'll call that the purple marker. I don't have a purple marker. I don't really care about it. All right. So you go heavy in your career, and then you have, and this is 100%. You go heavy in your career, and then this thing will start to either crater or dotted line descend down to a certain low level and stay there. And then, at a certain age, once you've empty nested or your kids are in an age where they can take care of themselves, then you jump back up again. This is where you want to be. You wish you could jump right back up to 100%. Unfortunately, it's going to be a dotted line that goes off the chart, right? So you see right here is this part. This is when you're answering emails on maternity leave. This is when you're out of the workforce or you are minimally employed while you're taking care of your kids. And this is you ramping right back up. Maybe your kids are at like age 13, 14. They're in high school. All you got to do is, throw a hungry man in the microwave for them. You're able to have a full-time job. You're still really busy, and they're still a pain in the butt because you got to do all their laundry, and teenagers for some reason don't know how to take care of themselves, even though they're able to they're able to go fight a war sometimes if they're like 17, I think. But once they get to the end of that, you're trying to jump right back in. So the solid line is your desire, and the dotted line is the reality, right? So you're losing out on this big chunk right here. Okay? And you see your family in red, because blood is thicker than water. This ramps up almost immediately, and then stays up, and then kind of tapers down. More or less crisscrossing with the graph here, right? That's by design. As your balance of 100% is shared between your blood, family, and your green, your money. I propose to you something different. So this is working the 9-to-5 model, right? 9-to-5 model. Okay? So this is your 9-to-5 model of living your life. I propose to you something different. So technology has done so much for humanity, but especially for women in the last 100 years. Everything from birth control to different medical procedures, sanitation, and unfortunately to say, like home appliances, because the main role of the woman for almost all of the history of humanity has been to take care of the kids, right? So if you make a device that makes it easier to take care of the kids, such as the laundry machine, now you're free to go, more or less. You get to actually. There's no laundry machine on this graph. Let me put it that way. You don't have to really think about it too much. It's just a thing you have in the back of your mind. You got to go change a load here and there. Technology has changed, and I don't think people are taking advantage of it the way they should. And there's a lot of money on the table where you can make this graph super adaptable. The problem with this graph is that it is a block. It goes chunk, 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 off it goes, right? Don't you wish you had a graph? And life doesn't happen that way, right? Life happens when it happens. Your kid breaks a leg on their bicycle one day. All of a sudden, you need 100% of your time focused on your kid, getting them to the hospital, cleaning them up, getting them new pants because they destroyed their jeans. All this stuff. Life comes at you fast. Children are like little agents of chaos in your life. So what do, right? You need a career that actually adapts to you. And there is a market that is trying to satisfy this, but it is victimizing housewives, right? The market that's trying to satisfy this need is M2M. What is it? Multi-level marketing or something? I forget. MLM. Sorry, MLM, not M2M. MLM. They're trying to, and it's a big racket. It's a big scam. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Nobody needs that many friggin' Vita bars, okay? You don't need to sell makeup to people. They just go online to look it up. I don't know. I mean, I guess a party would be kind of useful because you need to try makeup on to see what works. But what you can do, and this is after your 4-year degree. I'm not saying that you should like drop out and try to sell candy bars. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying though is that technology has changed to the point where you can work from home, and have your job and have your workload adapt to your lifestyle immediately. You've already saved about 2 hours of the day through a commute, okay? So I didn't draw that there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of wastage here. I draw like a blue line or something and say this is wastage, right? Let's say you're wasting 2 hours a day. You're awake. Let's say you're awake for 16 hours. I know sometimes it's more than that. You really should get 8 hours of sleep. Everyone will thank you. You'll thank yourself. If you're wasting 2 hours of those 16, that's 1/8. That's you know, if my math is correct, that's 12.5% of your active life that you are throwing away. Now you could listen to an audiobook or something else, I guess, but honestly, you don't want to have 12.5% of your life held hostage, and then you're going to try to salvage it by listening to an audiobook or something, right? Not going to work out. And don't tell me about public transit either. I've tried doing public transit. You kind of have to stay alert on public transit. And it's the same. It's even longer on public transit. 1 hour, you're lucky, right? This is assuming it's a 2-hour commute, and it can be. If you're working online from home, you also get to dictate your workload if you are your own boss. Okay, so now the internet age has also made it really, much more simple to get paid, to render payments, to communicate, to plan, to coordinate, let's say Google Docs or something like that, and work with a company and be a freelancer, right? So my profession is engineer. I could pretty easily quit my job and go become a freelancer, charge $100 an hour, 100 plus dollars an hour, and work from my home. And if I'm being overworked, if there's just too much going on, I accept less hours. I just say to my person I'm freelancing with, which you got to plan these things ahead a little bit. You'd say like, hey, there's a clause in my contract that I might have to take a day or two off very suddenly because I've got a kid and they're super clumsy. They take after their father, right? So what does this end up looking like? So you get out of college, you start your freelancing, or you start at a startup, someplace where you're getting a good network, right? This is network years, okay? You're still at 100%, you don't have any kids, I would say put as much responsibility into your job here as you can, really learn a lot, get a lot of networking. So, NETWORK, set yourself up for success as a freelancer and get your network up, okay? Then when this comes crashing down, right, it's not a crash. What it is, you want to ideally, dotted line ideally, be at 100%. That's not always going to happen. You've got your life to deal with. Let's say life did one of these to you, right? So this is when the kid comes in. Now you want it, you're having it all. You've got like a spike here, and then a spike there. Everywhere a spike. Actually, kids kind of start out at 100%, so it's really going to be more like that. There we go. Get a little marker finger going. Right? You've got this chaotic stuff going on. You've got different life events happening. What you do with your work is you just fill this in. Your employment is no longer an obligation, it's an opportunity. If you're working as a freelancer, now you're going to have this isn't going to be a perfect fill-in right here. There's going to be some pixelation going on. There's some granularity because you can't immediately ramp up your work and ramp it down. Some jobs you can, especially if you're software or something like that. This isn't just for engineers too. If you're like a marketing person, this is perfect. There's always marketing to be done. Make sure you have a large portfolio of clients. You send out a thing. It's like, hey, who needs a marketing campaign for September? I'm open. Better yet, August. I'm open. And then in September, I have to close. Let's work this out. Boom. August is filled. Your kids are at summer camp. You know that the 3rd and 4th week of August, your kids are coming back. You kind of know how much time you need to spend with those kids, right? Hopefully things are stable. Life plans are always contingent on you being stable. I can't help you if life isn't stable. And that does happen, right? So you have all these different things. Kids are at camp. They come back. Now they're going to school full time. You got these little needles, little hills and valleys and mountains of obligation in your life. And this could be a lot lower. It could be a lot higher. It could start to, realistically, this whole thing should trend downward, I would hope, that your kids become less dependent than a baby. This is a literal baby right here. That baby happened. Okay? Baby just redlined you. That's what babies do. They need to get fed super often. And they, for like months. And then it should start ramping down with occasional spikes, so have some flexibility there. This doesn't hold your career back. This isn't like I lost the big project, because your workplace, a show up kind of workplace, might have a big project once in a while. And if you blow it by having a kid, because they're going to think, oh, well, she's gone. We lost out her. And they're going to be some sour grapes, even if they don't say so, because people are just jerks like that. And you're going to miss that opportunity, and you're not going to have another opportunity. So what do you have to do? If you want to have a very adaptable life, you've got to diversify your opportunity among many employers, pretty much, right? Now, if you're going to be freelancing, there's a lot of tax considerations. Your accountant is your best friend. Before you get arrested, your accountant is your best friend. After you get arrested, your lawyer is your best friend. All right, so those are your two best friends for life. Definitely talk to your accountant. Make sure you're making a good tax plan. You got your S corp and everything set up. If you're doing an S corp, if you're doing an LLC, do it with a partnership. I'm not an accountant. My dad is. The idea that you still, I guess I'll summarize it with this. For some weird reason, feminism, the new feminism, has basically just been trying to turn women into men. Like everything that men did traditionally, now women are trying to just do. And it's not, if you take the assumption that men and women are biologically the same, you can just replace one with the other, that makes sense. But that's not the case, right? Men and women are different on some fundamental level. I think you have to, if you're a person of science, you have to agree with that. I don't think I've heard any science in sexology that says that men and women are the same, right? First off, men don't get pregnant. Second off, men kind of just go to work, even though we've got like a new baby. So we don't have a lot of, we want to hang out with the baby, but for like, I'll be honest, in my own experience, it's like 10-minute stints. I could be like, all right, 10 minutes to this baby. All right, I'm good. I'm going to go to work now. It's not as much of a draw for us, I guess. The lifestyle that has worked for men is not necessarily going to work for women. And technology can come to the rescue yet again. I don't see a lot of people taking this route. I see a lot of women entering the corporate world and then being totally unhappy by it, right? Now, I said before that we've got other issues. So that takes care of the balance of family and career. The confidence both that the lady worker has in her workplace and the workplace has in the lady worker, that goes away when you're online. It becomes less of it. There's no boys club of whitewater rafting, jocks online necessarily. Maybe they all live close to each other, but that gets solved. Your expectations of life, in and out, the expectations of you, that people have on you, and the expectations you have of life, those both get sorted out as you're able to adapt. The expectations you have of life will never fully match what you're going to get, but I think this gets you closer. Pretty much, this is just a filter. This is like a low pass filter for life issues. So you can keep doing what you want to do. You can have it all, and it's just really just having the flexibility to do it. That's the only thing keeping you back, right? Is flexibility. I think if you disagree or if you have other insights, hit me up in the comments. I love making follow-up videos and having messages and discussions. It's a cool thing. I love to learn. And this new technology and our expectations and our trials and tribulations in life, it's great watching those two, the solution and the problems, mesh together. The solution exists before we know that it's for this problem, right? Because once you make a solution for one problem, then you try and smash it against all the other problems and see if it works. I would love to see if this works. It could liberate a lot of people. I work from home, and it's awesome. And a lot of Americans do now. You should take advantage of it, okay? Have it all. You can do it. I don't see why not. A lot of people do. All right, that's been it. This has been the Alex Manassa, and thank you very much. Bye.